Hi, welcome back to the Cozy Corner podcast. We're Gabby and Darlene. We're so happy to welcome y'all back to our weekly conversation.
Welcome back. Today is a good day to join us. Well, every day. Every day is a good day to join us. But it's a good day because I know that everyone has experienced bad days. And that's what we'll be talking about today. So let's get cozy with battling bad days.
Yes, and today is also a great day because we have a very special guest with us today. Thanks to her pet frog, we are lifelong friends. And her name is Kristina Gerken, and she is here with us, y'all. She has a lot of insight into this topic, and I know you will get a lot of information from what she shares.
I'm so excited to get into it. But before, of course, you must get to know our guest. So, Tina, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Yeah, so my name's Tina. I'm an occupational therapist, and not a lot of people know what that is, but it's a type of therapy that's holistic. We look at the patient as a whole and try to figure out what they need through their occupation, which is could be either their hobbies or just what they're doing day by day, just like taking a shower, getting dressed. So right now I'm working with kids, which I love. I work with kids with autism, mental disabilities, physical disabilities at school. And so, yeah, I love my job. And I'm just so excited to be on this podcast. I feel like I'm y'all's number one fan because I listen to it every week, and it just makes me so happy. And it just puts me in such a good place after I use it, or I listen to it every time I run. So I love this podcast so much.
Thank you.
I'm excited because I've known Gabby and Darlene for like ever. And Darlene and I played soccer growing up, and Gabby and I were next door neighbors.
Yeah, we made like a little triangle. It was cool. Like I knew Tina.
A friendship, yeah.
I don't remember who I met. I think I met Gabby first, but or maybe around the same time, just
Probably around the same time.
Yeah, two separate locations. So pretty cool.
Yeah. And you guys, we're going to link her, and like how we did with Mercedes and Alicia, we're going to link her Instagram because Tina is a super badass. She's a marathon runner, ultra marathon runner, just casually runs 10 miles, 13, 20 miles. And I think it's really inspiring because you always just have a really fun Instagram. So we'll definitely share that with people that maybe want to follow.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. And you are currently, so I want to let them know where you are currently and kind of, because I think it's really cool where you're living right now and maybe like your plans a little bit before we get onto the topic.
Yes. So right now, I work out of Texas, but right now I'm in New York because my boyfriend, he's doing fellowship right now. And since I work for a school, I'm off for summer. So I'm just here hanging out in New York, which is, it's been really, really fun.
That's so awesome. Summer vacation.
I know.
No, I visited Tina. When was that? Gosh, a month ago. Yeah, it was so much fun. She showed me the coolest places and definitely overwhelming, but we had a great time. It was nice.
So loud here compared to Texas. It's so loud.
Yeah.
So if you hear a siren go by or somebody honking, that's the city.
Just casual. That is so funny. So we are going to ask you the fun question that we ask our special guests. What are you doing and where are you when you feel most cozy? Because this is the Cozy Corner after all.
Okay, so where I feel most cozy, honestly, is either going on a walk or on a run outside. Preferably, especially right now in New York, where I feel most cozy because it's so loud here. My favorite thing to do is go to Central Park. And there's this place called the Ramble, which is just filled with a bunch of trees and you can actually hear the birds. And so I kind of just sit there and just walk around or run around the Ramble and that's like my zen.
Love that. Wow. That is such a unique answer. I feel like most people,
right?
I think, stereotype think it's like TV watching this, but I love that.
Being in bed.
But that, hey, I love that. Thank you for answering that.
Yeah. So inspiring. Now you need to go on a walk.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, so going into our topic, battling bad days. Before getting into it, though, we want to preface this and let you know that we're not experts, as we've mentioned in previous podcasts when we talk a little bit about more deeper conversations. We're not doctors, we're not psychologists. And what we share here is from our own personal experiences, how we cope, what we find that works for us. And what we find personally that works for us may not work for you. So I think it's important to understand that we are talking about things that we find that help us, but not necessarily they may help you. And even between Gabby and Tina and me, I'm sure that we have different ways of coping. So I think it's the same with everybody. We have to just find those routes that help us in battling these bad days. So here we are just sharing our thoughts.
Exactly. We want you to understand that if your bad day turns into weeks or months, there are resources out there and medical help if needed. Please don't hesitate and just call and reach out for help. We want to begin with the term bad day. And so, Tina, we want to kind of start with you with your definition for you. What does it look like for you, a bad day?
So a bad day for me, I would say just kind of quote unquote being in my feels, just constantly kind of feeling sluggish, not wanting to get out of bed, just kind of being really hard on myself, constantly talking myself down in my head and not being able to get out of that rut.
Yeah, I can relate completely to that.
That encompasses it, definitely. And I was telling Gabby before we even started recording that I was like, what a coincidence. Today is not a good day for me. And here we are recording about bad days. So for me, it's something that specifically today, just feeling sad about something and not being able to get out of that rut or like think differently. It's just, it stays there. And so that's kind of where I am today, feeling sad about something that's going to happen, which I'm really trying to work on not worrying so much because it just gives you a really bad day. And so also what a bad day can encompass is something bad happens in the morning and it's just a domino effect, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody can agree with that.
Yeah.
But the other thing for me for a bad day is if I'm unable to accomplish my to-do list. I have every single day, if you're like looking on YouTube, I have like a long to-do list that I have to do every single day. And if I don't accomplish something at the end of the day, I'm like, dang it, I didn't do it. But that's the thing, is that we're here trying to make things, what is the word?
Like normalize
This, that we're going to have bad days, and that's normal. That's okay to go through those feelings. So
Mhm. Yeah, I think I really liked how both y'all kind of talk about is it introspective where it's like comes from within? Because I think it's portrayed a lot like in media and like movies where it's like, you spill coffee. It's more something physical that creates a bad day, but sometimes it's really just in your head. And that's just as valid as, you know, uh, you know, reading something on Facebook or doing like something that's physically happening in your surroundings rather than like I experience it mostly in my mind. So for me, probably recently, just with like, I don't even know, like being home a lot more with the pandemic and stuff. I like am the kind of person that I plan out my whole day the night before in bed in my mind. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to wake up at 7 a.m., go to the gym, and then like, I'm going to do all these things, kind of like how you, darling, where you're like, I have this checklist. And the minute like I get up and I'm just like, maybe not feeling going straight to the gym, I start to think of like, wow, like I can't do this. That means I can't do anything. I can't like achieve goals because like I let, how you're saying, Tina, like you just like put yourself down. And I struggle so much with that because when I, at least for me, like I can go on Instagram where other people like now, they look so naturally like achieving all their health goals or all their fitness goals. I'm like, I just want to stay in bed. And, so those are things that I try to like not obsess over, but I definitely have like those intrusive thoughts that just get in the way. And I've learned a lot about how to handle intrusive thoughts. But Tina, you've really, with conversations we've had, you have taught me so much about how to battle intrusive thoughts with, like, through meditation and through your kind of like self-love chants to yourself, that it might feel uncomfortable, which it is for me to like meditate and to completely like, I don't know, be at peace, because I'm constantly just overthinking. But I love how you taught me that. And I still struggle with it, but I'm always like, it's, even if I don't do it 2 days, 3 days in a row, at least I like try. And I think that's like a big thing here that I want to get across to our listeners, is like, every day you don't have to be perfect. And I think sometimes we want that, right? As like, I think our generation, especially how it's portrayed to have like this natural work-life balance, and, you know, whether it's how we live, how we look, like so much, I think, is put into our minds. And yeah, it can create a bad day.
No, for sure. I think I've learned to, especially being in New York, it's opened a lot for me, because it is kind of isolating, because I don't really know anybody in New York. All I know is my boyfriend. And I didn't realize how much, how hard it is to not have friends and other people around. And so it taught me, being up here taught me to look a lot more inward and researching on a lot of what I need to do mentally to be okay with just being alone. And so I've had a lot of bad days up here, but it ended up being a good thing, because it's pushing me towards the way of thinking. And I've learned and researched a lot. There's this guy that I've been reading about and following. His name's Rahm, and he's just put me on this spiritual path and journey that just has taught me to reframe my mind and look at life in a different way. And what I've learned too is everything is, is a perception of how you think and how you feel. Whatever happens to you, you can choose to look at it either as good or bad. So thoughts are going to come up. So what I've learned is, like, with having a bad day, instead of like pressuring yourself and being like, I need to stop thinking this way, I need to reframe my brain and keep doing these like positive affirmations to make myself better. But what I've learned is that it's okay to have those bad thoughts. And what's healthy is to accept those bad thoughts. And you gotta learn to kind of retrain your brain in taking those bad thoughts, and instead of pushing them down, feel them. You have to feel them, because in order to get over it, you have to understand why you're feeling this way, and you have to have to go inward and deep. So with having those bad days, I've learned that it's really healthy just to sit with yourself and kind of ask yourself, okay, what do I really need in order to feel better? Or if you don't know what you need, just kind of just sit there and meditate on it, or go for a walk. It's okay to have, like my mom always calls them, oh, woe is me day. So it's okay, just accept that, I'm going to have a bad day. And I need to be with myself, or I need to go talk to somebody, or I need to go for a walk. Just don't ever feel like you have to get over it, because for me, I used to think that way, and that never helped out, because it was always the pressure.
Because that's like suppression in a way, just like get over it and like be happy. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And also, with having those bad thoughts, they're going to come back. So no matter how much you suppress it, they're always going to come back. It's just learning how to reframe your mind on how to deal with them. And I learned that having these feelings, it's like a wave. So they're going to come. So you just have to learn to embrace it, accept it, tell yourself it's okay to feel this way, and it'll pass. It will pass.
You're right. Even if it takes a day or two for it to pass, it always does. So that's good. Thank you, Tina.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love how you talked about how, like, when you noticed moving to New York, like recognizing like, wow, community plays a huge role.
That's good. I'm watching this show on Netflix. It's called 100 Humans. If you haven't seen it, it's so good. And they do like, what is it? Like experiments on people to try and find. Yesterday's episode was about being happy. And they mentioned that we're humans, and humans need interaction with other humans. It just, makes us happier. So I agree with both of you guys. I'm in Guatemala and I've been here for 5 years, but I don't have like a community of people that I say I have in Texas, right? Like all of my friends are, I mean, I have friends here, but they're not like my close friends that I've had growing up, like you guys. So yeah, community is so important to help with
Right.
those bad days too.
And when Tina, when you were kind of talking about Ram Dass, which I was like, when for our listeners listening, when this topic was brought up, I immediately thought of Tina because I was like, OMG, like her Ram Dass journey. She even got me the Ram Dass book, which we'll also link in the description, because it's just a beautiful, like, I think alternative or beautiful, just like something to just kind of sip on for thoughts, because I was like, I feel like you've become just such a healthier person,
Human.
not human. Yeah, just by like soaking it in. And I was thinking of also, Mercedes told me something, and I hope I don't butcher this acronym, but it's called RAIN. And R stands for recognizing an intrusive thought or a bad thought. A stands for accepting it. How you're saying, Tina, like you can't let it go. Like you got to just, it's a part of you. You got to love it. And then I think the I in RAIN stands for like igniting. So maybe like how you go on a walk, move your body, or like do something positive. And then N is to nurture it. Because at the end of the day, that's your own mind. Whether, I think for some people, like it may be a trauma from the past, like that could be your inner child. Like you got to, I mean, it's the end of the day, it's your mind. You got to nurture it for it to be stronger later down the road. So RAIN, guys. So my sister taught me this probably a few months ago. And so on one of her Christmas gifts on her watch, I put rain all day. And I feel like that's such a cool, like, I mean, I'm trying to rain all day. My sister's raining all day. Guys, we need to all rain all day because mental health is #important.
For those who don't really know, I'll tell you kind of a little bit of a short tidbit of who Ram Dass is. So he's a yogi. But researching him, he has such a cool backstory because he went to Stanford and got his PhD in psychology, and then he ended up teaching as a professor in psychology at Harvard. And he wrote a lot of books, and so he ended up gaining a lot of money and fame where he was teaching at Harvard. So he had everything for him, but he felt like something was missing. So he met this guy, and they went to India and had this spiritual journey. And he found out that there was more to life than, riches and who you are, like, being a professor and having like certain titles, that life is more, there's more to that. So he ended up going on this spiritual journey to where he found out, kind of looking more inward, and that the meaning of life is within yourself, and it's not your title, it's not who you are, it's detaching yourself and being happy in the now, and not going towards the future, going towards the past. It's just focusing on the now and appreciating everything that you have.
What's his Spotify? What is that called? Is it?
Oh, it's called Be Here Now. It's
Here
the
Now.
same, the book that you'll link, it's the same
Oh, right.
title.
Be Here Now. Yeah.
He has a podcast.
Yeah, so he's passed away. So he has a foundation called Ram Dass Foundation. And so this guy took all of his teachings that he did throughout the whole world. And what's crazy is when I came in contact with this podcast, the first couple teachings was actually he was teaching a class 4 blocks in front of me.
Oh,
and
wow.
So,
in the city, in New York.
in the city, like this was
wow.
like 20 years ago that he did it, but it's weird that I was like listening to a podcast and he was like not too far away from me in the past. So
that's so cool.
But it's good. I love, especially when you have bad days, it just helps you. It helps me just to kind of reframe my thinking in my mind, and it kind of helps me validate that it's okay to feel these feelings. It's just, I need to change my perception on he puts it in a way of, it sounds bad, but it's in a sense, it's you're embracing suffering. So in order to find the beauty in life, and you have to suffer. So it's a good thing to suffer. It's how you grow. So when you look back on this moment, you'll actually thank yourself, because you're sitting in that bad day and you're asking yourself, like, how can I grow from this? What am I needing to learn? Like, it's okay for me to feel this way. Like, what are my, I'm just going to feel it and be here in the present and just say thank you. Learning to say thank you for the good and the bad things that happen to you.
Yeah. Yeah, that bringing in of this, I love hearing this, and bringing in my Christianity into this. It's so true, because God doesn't give us things in our lives that we aren't able to overcome, and they only make us stronger.
Yes.
Right? So true.
Yes.
Yeah, being human, man. It's tough.
We're gonna suffer. We're gonna
suffer. Yeah, we're gonna be happy. Yeah.
It's a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster journey.
Yes.
Journey. Darlene, what other ways, just to kind of wrap up this, I guess, segment, like what other ways help you overcome battling bad days?
For me is lately, actually, I've been doing this a lot, lately I've been getting a lot of anxiety. I think just like with the changes that are happening in my life, and also the pandemic. I mean, I'm still teaching from home. I'm still in my house all day long. So is literally just laying down wherever I am, on the couch or on my bed, and just taking a deep breath and just sitting there, laying there and praying to God, asking for his peace. And that could take me 5 minutes, it could take me 30 minutes, but until I feel at peace and I'm able to move on with my day, even if I still uh, feel those feelings, at least that I was able to be in peace for a little bit. And also finding the root of that, the root of my bad moments in the day, and just trying to find the outlets. For example, today, like I said, I have been feeling a little sad, and I knew that to make me feel better, I knew that my mom is able to make me feel better. So I texted her immediately and I told her what I was feeling. Mom, I'm sad, blah, 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 because of this. And she knows always the right things to say. So her response just made me feel better. Of course, I can still be in those moments in my head, like we've been mentioning, but knowing that finding those routes for me to get out of those ruts is what I do to get out of those moments. So yeah, crying also helps a lot.
I love a good cry, man.
That's always good. Cry. I love that you sat with yourself too, Darlene, and just like prayed. Like, I feel like that's just so important for people, who are having bad days, to actually sit with themselves and just like meditate or pray on like what they're feeling. Like, I just think that's so healthy. It's so healthy.
Oh yeah, and it helps a lot. I never was like this. I don't know, this year I just started doing that, and it's helped so much. I'm more of a person, I'm a writer, so I always like journal my thoughts, but sometimes you get distracted, and like sometimes I don't want to sit down and write, right? So yeah, it is super helpful and very important.
Just going back to the crying, tell me and be honest, y'all, tell me, because I do this literally probably more often than not. Like if I just feel like I need to cry, I go to Spotify, I have a playlist that says literally cry or sad songs, just need to cry. And I just belt out these ballads and I'm just crying, whether it's like a breakup song, whether it's like grief, I'm just like, I need to feel this. Cause like, I'm not a writer. I can't be journaling. My hand will cramp up and I'm like, I quit. And sometimes, being at just quiet with myself is too much. And I'm like, I just need to sing and cry. Do y'all do that ever?
100%, especially like going onto YouTube and watching YouTube music videos. I feel like, because I'm also not a writer, but like singing other people's songs, like help kind of understand and hone in on like what I'm actually feeling,
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah. I don't do that. I only do that with
Darlene's like, I don't really do that often.
No, but no, I don't do. I'm not a music person though. Like if you ask me what type of music, well, I like all type of music, but I mean,
But it's not like a go-to like therapeutic thing.
not at all. But
Gotcha.
sometimes it's only Christian music. Well, like if I'm having a bad day or like there's something on my heart and then I listen to Christian music, it just brings me back to like the good times of so that's when I bawl. But
There is a song by Susan Boyles. If y'all don't watch, I think she was on AGT, America's Got Talent. She's really amazing. She's from Great Britain. And there's a song called White Horses or Wild Horses. Man, I can be in the car. I can be in the shower. And I just start singing it. And I'm like, man, I feel her. I feel whatever she's saying. But that's
no,
just
but
put a
it's
little
good.
lightness on it. Yeah.
It's good. It's good to cry. For me, like I've mentioned before, my anxiety, I feel.
Oh my God, I thought that was me. I was like, what?
Sorry, I'm going crazy over here. No, I feel it in my back and like my shoulder area. So when I cry and let it out, it releases the pain. So it helps a lot. To conclude this episode, we have some summarizing points to help us realize how to change those bad days. For me, something that always happens is my bad day doesn't roll over to the next day. I've had some bad days, but the next day is turned around. So me and Gabby, we have 5 points that we want to just talk about and kind of summarize some of the things that we've already mentioned. And the first one is realizing that a bad day doesn't equal a bad life, and just take it one step at a time, one day at a time. The second is to identify the cause of the bad day and find a way to calm yourself, find a way to turn that bad moment around. And the third point is take a breath.
For number 4 is, and tell me if this is a Ram Dass, Tina, because I think there was a point that I learned this from Jacob, but this was also when he was following Ram Dass, is you can either react or respond. Mm-hmm. And your reaction can create patterns for absorbing the bad day and like recharging it into more negative, or waiting and thinking about it and responding and nurturing the thought can change the day for the better. That has literally changed how I even have relationships with people.
That is a Ram Dass thing. And to build on that too, he has this other quote that says, free yourself from the illusion of a good and bad day. Labeling time makes us nostalgic of the past and demanding of the future. There's only here and now, so let it be. So it's just all how you perceive it.
Yeah. Let it be here now. And so the fifth one, we talked about, I think this is an easy thing, even though it's hard for people who kind of maybe have like careers that are over scheduled, is just to try to schedule out times of rest or slow movement, just to be with yourself. With everything kind of opening up and like, there's all these social anxieties with like being with people, wanting to like do this on top of your own like days you're going through. Just make sure to put rest in your day for yourself. And going further down into our episode, we are going to be doing the intention of the week. And everybody has their own form of coping with a bad day. So I hope someone has learned something from us 3. Take what you need. And just notice from our discussions that all 3 of us have such different ways of coping and just different ideas. And I think it's just so beautiful to see the diversity between all of us come together.
Yeah, exactly. And for this week's intention, we want you to figure out that one thing that helps you cope with your bad moment or the bad day. You can write down a list of the things that make you happy, and each bad cause can be helped with different mechanisms. We want you to figure out those so that when you do have a bad day, that bad moment comes up, you'll be able to turn it around or just find ways to cope with it.
Well, guys, that concludes our podcast. Check out our channel for past episodes and don't forget to subscribe for future ones.
You can subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and even watch us on YouTube.
We'd love it if you'd leave us a review to let us know what you think. Or maybe you want to be a special guest on our show. We'd love to have that conversation too. You can find us at Instagram at the.cozycornerpod or send us an email at thecozycornerpod@gmail.com.
Thank you guys so much for listening, and thank you, Tina, for joining us today. It was so good catching up with you, learning a lot from you as well.
Thank you. I'm so honored y'all chose me to be on this. So I love you guys. I'm your
I
number
love
one
you.
fan.
We wish you all a wonderful week and catch you next time on the Cozy Corner. God bless, take care, and adios,
Adios,
amigos.
amigos.